Hello and welcome to Leah Talks. I'm Leah from Lakora Yoga, and I am a yoga teacher who specializes in flexibility for beginners and mostly to help mums loosen the body so that they can loosen the minds as well. So today we are here with Kimberley. So I'll let you introduce yourself. So would you like to let everybody know who you are and what you do?
Sure. Hi, first, thank you for having me. I was really excited about this. It's a little off the beaten track of what I speak about most often, which is that I'm a family law attorney and coach. So I'm usually talking all things family law and, the mindset and, procedural things and all of that. And yet, mindfulness, I'm also mindfulness trained, which translates to me into the body mindfulness, which is yoga, and that it played such a pivotal point in my life over the last few years. So it was really exciting to be here to chat about that. So I've been family law attorney for about 10 years, and I've been coaching for 20 plus years in various capacities. And I am newer to the yoga space, but I dipped my toe in a little bit a few years ago, and then I just threw myself in the deep end about a year and a half ago. So here we are.
Amazing. Yeah, that seems to happen to everybody. They like try it once and that's it. Yeah, hooked for life. Is it something that relates a lot
Hands
to
down.
your law then? Like how do you kind of integrate that together?
Well, I've always been a very coachy lawyer in the family law space. And that was when I was lawyering and just, full on litigation and all of that. And now what I've done about 3.5 years ago, I came to be a live-in caregiver for my senior parents. So I have been at their space and place, and that was during COVID. So we had transitioned to everything being remote, right? We were doing trials remote, all of that was fine. But then, one, I was incredibly preoccupied here. There's a lot of serious things going on, and I was suddenly responsible for three of us and not just my single self.
Mhm.
And so I had to transition. I had to pivot, as many people did during the pandemic, pivot my business. But then, as things started to open back up and courts and things were, I saw it coming, I got to stay remote. And I had a lot of the weight and responsibilities and the emotional investment into this position here, which is incredibly gratifying. It has been the growth curve of a lifetime, but it's incredibly gratifying to be able to be here. And I'm humbled every day, but it's hard. It's hard and it takes a toll. And so I already was offloading my litigation clients. And then I thought, how do I do this? How do I keep doing? So I pivoted just into coaching only. So I do litigation support and divorce custody coaching, which I can be remote. So I haven't seen a live client in 4 years.
Wow.
And before COVID, I had, again, a friend had invited me to a yoga. Mind you, people have told me for 25 solid years, you need to do yoga. I've always been athletic. I work out. I'm active and all this. And they tell me you need, and some of the people I would least suspect. I had this big burly Austrian guy that was a best friend of mine in Boston, and he did yoga and would tell me this. And I'm like, okay, I'm just not there. Like I can't sit still. I can't. He's like, you don't, you got to do yoga to get yoga. And I didn't get around to it. But then several years ago, a friend invited me and I went with her to in studio and I enjoyed it very much. And one of the really cool parts was one, when I walked home, I felt taller.
Yeah.
And two, I was sore. And I'm an athlete who works out and everything. I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting because I'm all about a good workout, right? And, I think we try extra hard when we're in studio. So I think I probably, push some new things that now being wiser, I probably would approach differently and being more seasoned. But then during 2022 when I was trying to reorient. I had some like health and sanity. My sanity was going off the rails and things were really heavy and involved here. And I was doing a 9-month intensive in mindfulness in law teacher training. So it's mindfulness specifically for the law field and stuff so I can teach. But a good part of that was yoga. We did yoga every morning at set from 7 to 7:30. I mean, and so then I really was doing it enough to get the bigger differences. And I would say, as much as I might have got sore in my first few classes that I did rando, that's then when I got doing it consistently, that it changed my brain before it changed my body. Before it changed the shape of my body, it had done a number on my brain in a very settling way. And after that, so that was 2022. And at the end of 2022, then we were done and I was kind of on my own. And I thought, what am I going to do? I always set goals for the next year. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do yoga every day for a month. And then I thought, well, that's kind of silly. Like, if you can do yoga every day for a month, why don't you just do it every day for a year? And so I decided to do yoga every day for a year. I'm not talking tons of yoga. I'm talking that I tripped on an online teacher who
Mhm.
clicked, who put out a month calendar. So all you had to do was click on a link. I was staying at home and doing it whenever I wanted to. They were pretty short. They were 15, 20 minutes, sometimes 25. This was really, not heaps and tons of yoga. Mind blown. Um, I now know what a yoga body looks and feels like. It is different. I don't know how to equate stronger. There have been times I've lifted a lot in the gym and I've been quite strong. This was like nooks and crannies and all the connective things strong. And it was the settling of the mind, um, and this mind body integration, which I've been into my whole life in different ways. I was a gymnast, so mind body integration is a big deal. I rode and trained and showed horses. Mind body integration, big deal. You have to have, that proprioception in the world.
Mhm.
So I was very conscious of being able to do that, but doing it in this way where I could sort of give myself up to someone who was I would just submit to the voice. I didn't have to do anything. I just submit to the voice and listen and do it by the sensations instead of the shapes necessarily.
Yep.
And it did wonders. So the times that I sit, I realized during the year when I was doing the intensive, that there were some times where sitting down to do meditation, like I couldn't get, like I just had so much going on and I was under such tremendous stress and pressures and that I couldn't get myself to even just be still. And yeah, I do moving meditations and I meditate when I walk and stuff, and that's fine. But I would just do yoga and that would be like my meditation. Even though my body was doing yoga, it was my meditation. And I drew, oh, I left my iPad over there. I was going to show you something I drew
Yeah.
because one day I was compelled to draw this. Mind you, I'm not an artist. And I was going to say for anyone just listening and not watching, but now it's for anyone because I didn't bring my iPad to my desk. Um, I drew I drew what looks like something a 4-year-old would draw, right? Remember, did you ever do where you did the turkey? You draw the turkey at Thanksgiving, you put your hand down and you draw like around the fingers and they're really
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
and then you make it a turkey when you're a kid.
Yep.
Okay, so that's the quality of the drawing that I sat down and did of body. Okay, and it was kind of a body, like in a star pose, I guess, because it had arms and legs. And I drew the places in my body where, like, in the colors that corresponded to them
Mhm.
that just came to me. I'm not reading this anywhere,
This
guys.
sounds
I just like
amazing.
did this
Yeah.
because, and I drew the ball of where it was in my body. And then after yoga, it was like that ball was just dispersed throughout. So I have these little
Wow.
bodies on this drawing that show where the ball, whether the red, whether it was the anger that was in
Mhm.
my, chest and I get balled up, or where the sadness was blue, it was in my gut, or where the stress and tension that gets in my neck and
Mhm.
shoulders. And then after yoga, it was just like it was dispersed throughout and everything
Yeah.
was more manageable. So where does this come into what I do? Well, I approach the divorce custody coaching as this is the land of opportunity, and people don't look at it like that.
Mhm.
We often hear you deal with moms, right? So
Yep.
unfortunately, we all know someone or are someone who is contemplating or going through a divorce at some point because, 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
And that opportunity isn't the word you hear. I hear the words overwhelm. I hear the words battle. I hear, I see moms not putting their oxygen mask on first and taking care of themselves. And to me, kiddos are the axis of the universe. So, how do we have healthier, happier humans on the adult plane
Mm-hmm.
so that what's trickling down? Because what we know and what research has shown over and over and over is kiddos aren't harmed by a family beginning to live under two roofs. They're harmed by how it's handled.
Yeah,
And we can always be better. And people need support to get through it better because
definitely.
we're humans and our circuitry and our chemistry and the linguistics that we've used, like we just haven't been trained to do it better. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where the coaching comes in is where's the opportunity in this? How do we make this, a healthier path? It does not have to be a battle, but as soon as people put that word to it, that is in fact what they'll get.
Yeah.
And that it doesn't take both sides to make that different. It takes one side to make it no longer battle for
Mm-hmm.
that person and the example and the modeling and everything that they're doing for their kiddos and their own health and well-being. So that's my approach. And the mind body integration is a big part of it. Whether I tell my clients to like do yoga, sometimes it's not that. Sometimes it's, movement. What movement appeals to you?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's turn music on and dance around, right? While you fold laundry, which is what I did yesterday.
Yeah.
And things like that, like make it doable and just be aware for the moment that there's a mind body integration to it. It's not purely physical, it's not purely mental, that it's a system.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts to open up attunement and awareness. And that's where the opportunities are. That's where the options, that's where the creative solutions and things are. And I mean, plenty of people go through the process every day without any of this, but it's grueling or it can be grueling. And what is grueling for the parents going through it translates to the children. And people are like, I don't talk about it. I'm not in the room. I don't never get on the phone when they're around. It's like, it doesn't have to be that. If it's in your body in a stressful way, they're getting it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've read, there's a study, brilliant. It's maybe one of my favorite parts of I'm just a geeky neuroscience, quantum biology researcher, like I have been for years. So I just like totally nerd out on this stuff. But there was a study where they took college students because they could do them in mass quantity.
Mm-hmm.
And they took a stressed out situation, like where they're doing an exam and they're really stressed out and everything. And they made them wear like these shirts or sweatshirts, whatever. They collected all the laundry with the stressed out sweat, right? And then they took these others who were sweating or perspiring and whatever, like good things, right? Eustress, the good stress, where they were doing something they liked or fun or whatever. And they took those. And then they took completely other groups in volume of individuals and they tested their blood and all their biometrics while they just smelled the sweatshirts. And all of the biometrics for that stress sweat jacked with cortisol, stress hormones, jacked with their heart rate, jacked with their, all of the things that. So if we think that just because we don't argue in the same room, the kids aren't getting it, if that's not what you're feeling inside, like if you really don't have a handle on that, they're getting it.
Yes.
They're getting it.
Yep.
So how do we do it better? We can always do it better. I'm not calling anybody out. I sit in non-judgment, but
Mm-hmm.
we can always do it better. And the cool thing is when you do it a little bit better, it feels really good. And it tends to get some traction, some momentum, right? Just like yoga
Yeah.
does, really. So a little bit can go a long way, like really profound effects. And there's spillover effects because clients
Mm-hmm.
come back and are like, oh my God, I did this at work too. Like I was, I showed up like this, I was thinking like that. And it was like, yeah, yeah, these aren't just, for this finite point in time, which not that divorce custody feels finite. It feels like it will go on forever, but it is finite. It will end at some point. But the tools aren't just for that. The tools are for life at large. So
Yeah. Can I just say that is like the whole speech that you've just given is like everything I say to everybody, but you have just like nailed the wording to that. That was just, oh my God. If
Oh,
for anybody
oh, well, that's
listening,
why we
keep
click. That's why
repeating
we're
this.
here.
Yeah, yeah, just keep repeating this episode, okay, until it sinks in because all of that was absolute gold. Um, completely agree. And
Yeah.
I feel like I work and do exactly the same, but hopefully before that point, before the divorce, before that. But this is
Right.
absolute key because like you said, because I deal with the same kind of people, they do go through all of this. And it's just that breaking point then that, it, like you said, it all comes out and your emotions and everything will affect other people, your stress and your anxiety and all of this. And then it just, gets into the partner and it just causes friction. And it's just so good to see the way that you explained it. It was just amazing. Um,
Excellent.
so yeah, really, really love that. Um, and especially with the yoga and the going into it and finding it in a kind of a workout style as well. Like, you said you felt your muscles after it. And you do get so many people say, I don't want to do yoga. It's just like stretching and sitting there and relaxing. And that's not what I need. And oh my God, there's so many different styles of yoga out there. And there's been a few. I mean, I'm a yoga teacher myself. I've been teaching for ages now, but there's some classes I go to and I can't do it. So like some of them are real workouts.
Right. Right. And I mean, what I've found, because I think it's really important, that you try a bunch of the things and bunches of people and bunch of the formats, and that I like the online and at home. I think that for, busy parents, I think that's key. I
Mhm.
understand that sometimes you need to be able to unplug, you need to go to a studio, right? You need to
Yeah.
change a scenery and that. And I get that. But there's also, for me, it's not necessarily in the budget, it's not in the time budget. And here, I can't leave all the time. Like I'm here, I'm on 24/7. So I can't just pop in and out. And I really like this better. I can select, I'll be like, oh, I feel like my hip is a little tight, and I'll find something for, hip loosening. Or I'll be, feel like, oh, I haven't worked out my upper body for a while. I'll find something specific, or I'll just do a full body thing. But here's the thing here, maybe this will work with moms. You know what? I noticed about 6 months into my everyday. I don't think I've said this on a show before. Um, my bras are too small.
Ah, okay, that's
That,
interesting.
and I was like, wow, I didn't think, and I lift weights, reasonably, right? And I just figured I
Mhm.
wouldn't get pecs back like in that shape and way. And it was like, well, that's a nice little surprise.
I wonder if that's to do with the physical movement or if that's more of the mindset and the calming and getting a bit more maybe into the feminine energy kind of thing.
I think it's all
Interesting.
of that, but I really
Hmm.
do think that, I mean, until I learned how to properly do a plank and to use your pecs and to open
Yeah.
your shoulders and spread, right? Oh
Hmm.
my gosh, I know where it came from. I mean, the pecs, like clearly, in and moving from there, and then you're hitting them from all the angles. So I used to do that in the gym where I was very conscious that to hit muscles from multiple angles, right? I was sort of conventionally trained in that eons ago. But here, the way you hit those angles is, let's say from plank, and then maybe I'm going to a down dog, and then you're going to plank, and then you're doing a vinyasa. So, in lowering down. So you're going forward and back and rocking back, and it's working the angles of the pecs.
Hmm.
And it was really evident because it really was right here in the pecs. So there you go. If there's some incentive, moms,
Go and do your
what
down
one of
dogs and your
us
planks.
doesn't want a little more, and like I literally was, yeah, it was, and it wasn't like I was putting on lots of muscle through, or I'd thicken through the back. It was very obvious where it was. And it wasn't that I was doing all those things, but it was enough worked in that clearly those muscles were, uh, they were doing their job.
Yeah.
So
It's amazing how much yoga works, isn't it? It's not even just the physical body as well, because you do get the mindset and stuff in there as well, and even the weight loss and stuff like that if you need it, the strength, the chest if
I
you need
also
that.
find that after, yeah, workouts that I don't, if I'm doing yoga, every day or close to it, enough that after workouts, like let's say I do go to the gym and I lift a certain body part, or I go do something I haven't done in a while, like lifting, moving, doing something,
Hmm.
that I don't get sore in the same way. I don't get those really pinpoint sorenesses.
Yeah.
I might get sort of generalized, like, "Ooh, I haven't raked leaves in a while." You know what I mean? Like but it's not those pinpoint where if I used to go, like walk on pavement a lot, like even walking the dog, like I would get a pinpoint soreness, like either my hip or my knee or what. They're much more generalized because the support, so all of the supporting tendons, ligaments, and muscles are so much more evenly distributed in the body versus just doing a targeted exercise for a certain thing. I really think like everything just feels so much more balanced, but it really is the nooks and crannies that I don't get those pinpoint things anymore. I mean, I might know I did something. And I think those pinpoint sorenesses that I used to get, I think I always equated at least with being very close to injury. If there
Yeah.
was something that was that pinpointed, it's like, ooh, okay, we got to, I got to look at the ergonomics of it. I've got to like see what I'm doing on that joint that's like not tracking the way it probably should or something like that. So I think it's that all around. I do feel taller.
Yeah.
I feel taller.
Yeah.
Um,
I feel
and
like
I've
so
always
many
had
people
good
say that.
posture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was a gymnast, so I grew up with good posture and I
Hmm.
still feel taller.
Yeah.
And it's effortless to be taller. I think that's it too. It's very effortless to carry, for your body to carry you around all the
Hmm.
time. So it's actually saving energy throughout the day.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's amazing. So one thing that I was going to ask you, because I ask everybody who comes on this show, well, I do now in season 2 anyway. So if you could give, and it could be anything, anything at all, 3 bits of advice for anybody listening about anything, what would it be?
Oh, easy. 30 if you want them, but three. One, don't wait. Don't wait. If there's only, I don't have regrets in life because I mine everything as the lesson. I just, I nerd out in that way and have found that it's a really healthy approach. But don't wait. If I have one regret, it's that I didn't start back when my big Austrian friend, my big hulking
Yeah.
Austrian friend told me this like 20 plus years ago. Um, don't wait, start today. And it's online now. So then I couldn't have. I would have had to made a big effort. But now you don't have to do that.
Hmm.
So you can find, and then two, when you go online, find a voice that clicks with you. I have
Yeah.
various people that I watch at different times. The one that started with the calendars that I do, like I do the queuing and things I think are key. And you've got to find a voice that clicks. And that might change on the day, even. And three, that I find that consistency of frequency is far and away the most important part over duration. It doesn't have to be much long. There's some days that I might squeeze in like 5 to 10 minutes. And come on, what I say to myself is like, look, goodness knows I am wasting conservatively 5 to 10 minutes a day. We all waste that much or more, right? But it really, if I'm just touching on a little bit, it doesn't have to be a lot. And that usually, I'm usually in like the 20-minute mark.
Hmm.
On some occasions, I might do more if I have more space and time and energy. Some days it's less, but I really do think don't wait. Um, find a voice that you will just go through the motions that you can kind of submit to
Yeah.
and try more, you know? And three, that the consistency of doing that is far and away more important than the duration. And the fact is that any movement is better than no movement. So if it just means, going for a walk, go for a walk. And if you want to bring like an added mind body, benefit to it, walk barefoot on grass, go
Yes.
out and get some grounding. And if you can't do that, sit in the window and look at the out of doors. And they've even shown, that's a massive benefit. And again, on all the biomarkers are improved, but they've even shown like if you can't do that and you have a picture, a photograph of something inside to look at, like some sort of tapping into something in nature is beneficial. So,
Yeah.
and every day it's just something over nothing. That's it. Even
Hmm.
if it's It's the aggregation of marginal gains. It's just like investing in financials, right? The aggregation of marginal gains. I mean, most of us aren't going to buy, crypto and be gazillionaires overnight. It's going to be the aggregation of marginal gains, just like going to the gym or just like eating healthier or just like getting better sleep. Um, don't be your own barrier by thinking all or nothing giant things. Um,
Yes.
so sorry,
Amazing
that was
advice.
about, 20 out of my 30, I guess.
No, that was great. That is amazing advice. And one thing that I've said before, I don't know if I've said it on the podcast, but I always say to people, like you just said, 5 or 10 minutes is great a day. And you'll never, even if you get through the entire day and you are like so busy, if you just do 5 minutes before bed, you're not going to wake up in the morning and think, oh, I wish I hadn't stayed up 5 minutes later to do that yoga. You're always going to feel better for it. So consistency and, little and often is better than nothing at all. So yeah,
And you're going to
amazing
sleep
advice.
better.
Exactly.
I think something
Yes.
people might not know too is there's actually yoga, like bedtime yoga. Like you could
Hmm.
Google 10-minute bedtime yoga.
Yeah.
Because I think people think, well, if I get my energy up, I'm not going to want to go to bed. And it's like, oh, look for something else. Because that's true. At night, I can
Yes.
only do like really, yin or something or
Hmm.
yoga nidra or something like that to sleep. But yeah, there is. So I think just knowing that people can go search anything.
Yes, definitely agree. If any of you are listening and you do struggle with sleep, I would definitely, like Kimberly just said, recommend Yoga Nidra. And I actually listen to Yoga Nidra every single night to help me get to sleep. And it's just this calming voice telling you to relax different parts of your body. And yeah, it just helps you switch your mind off. So for busy parents and anybody going through anything, it's a really, really great way to calm the nervous system. So thank you
Yeah.
so much. That was like such an amazing talk. So before we end this, can you just let people know where they can find you and how they can work with you?
Yeah, of course. You can hop on over to skilledclarity.com is my website, and that is the jumping off point for hooking up on like a 30 minutes, no charge, 30-minute opportunity spotting call. Because I really like to chat with people and see, sometimes we just feel like, I don't know where my opportunities are, so I don't have any. Like I'm doing what I do, right?
Mhm.
It's like, yeah, but you can't, dig into things, find those points of entries until we talk about it. And it really takes, a blind spotter and a dot connector. And that's what I do. I sort of thought partner and listen and ask questions. So that's the jumping off point. And that is a, no obligation, very little low investment to do. And we'd start there. And then we could talk about, what it might look like going forward to work together. How do we plug this in to kind of upscale your days in life? How would it feel to be enthused about living your life, not some fantasy life, on the
Mhm.
daily? Because really that's what we've got. Where are the opportunities? So that would be one, Instagram, Skilled Clarity ESQ. Um, and I start with a conversation and take it from there. You can hop on the email list, either of those ways. And I am starting a do's, don'ts, and insider insights for individuals who, again, either know someone or are someone going through divorce custody. So
Awesome.
connect. And
Amazing.
I don't work only with people going through divorce custody on the coaching. I didn't mean to, you know, carve one out that way. You don't have to be going through a divorce custody for us to have a chat or to work together.
Just any
So reach out.
life things. Yeah.
Anything. Yeah, life
Amazing.
at large.
I will
Yeah.
make sure that I put all the links in the description below. So for anybody listening or watching, you can check out the description. And if you have any questions about anything that we've spoken about today, you can contact me or Kim. And yeah, we will hopefully talk again soon.
Awesome. Leah, thank you so much for having me. It was a
Thank
great
you.
time.